You mean retail therapy?
Yeah, retail therapy. Yes, it's great. Get yourself something nice every once in a while. But if you're going to debt, if you're not paying your bills first for the self-love, that's not good.
Oh, the going out to eat all the time. The people that are like, oh,
okay, just at me, just call me out. It's okay, it's fine.
We both eat out a lot.
Yeah, we do.
A lot.
We buy the little half cans. So like, ooh, a cherry Coke for dinner tonight. I'm like, ooh, a cherry Coke for lunch tomorrow and dinner. And oh shit, and for breakfast? I'm just kidding. No, but like I started noticing like it's not a little treat anymore. It's becoming a habit.
I would always rent a car in every city that I go to on tour. And I'm like, dude, these people don't know how to fucking drive. Fuck you all, you can't drive. And then one day in Atlanta, I was like, maybe it is I that is the problem.
Maybe it is I. Am I the drama?
Am I the drama? I can't be the drama. Welcome to another episode of Big Mood.
Yeah.
Hi. We have our beautiful guest here, our stunning, gorgeous, sexy, talented, successful woman. Tell them who you are, baby.
Nikki Blades.
Yeah.
I love that introduction. Thanks, Bo.
You also got me. Hi, it's Gina. And we also got another beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you.
Tiffany.
Ooh, just Tiff.
Just Tiff.
Just the Tiff.
We're so glad you guys are here. Hi, look, listen. So I feel like during quarantine, people did a lot of like self-reflection, self-love. And for the most part, like we always push self-love. You should always, work on your self-love. But I found an article, or Jessica found an article that says 6 self-love things that can actually be harmful. The topic says 6 times self-love is really toxic behavior in disguise. And I never really thought about that being a thing before.
It's like never work, just be in bed.
Yeah.
Always.
Right.
Self-love.
Yeah.
Self-love. I love myself.
So I wanted to like take a deep dive into this article because I'm curious about it too, because my self-love is fuck all you guys. I'm awesome. But then that's probably not a good thing.
So toxic.
It's so toxic.
I love it.
So the first one here is it's toxic self-love is when it avoids conflict. Avoiding conflict is not showing yourself self-love. It's an excuse to avoid conflict, avoid being vulnerable, or disrespect other people's boundaries and autonomy. Conflict is a healthy part of any relationship and can help you grow. If you find yourself avoiding conflict because it's, quote, negative vibes, then you should reflect on what conflict brings up and what that conflict brings up and why you're avoiding it. A loved one may bring up a specific thing about you because they love and want to be in your life. But if you avoid it, it's not really helping anything.
1000%. It's the, oh my God, I just don't like how confrontational you are with me because I'm doing something that you don't like and I don't like that vibe. Yeah. That's really what it is. Because you have to acknowledge when you're the problem. And there are times that you can only talk through certain situations. They use the family member, right?
Yes.
So it's like, well, think of your friends. And there's going to be times where you don't even realize that you've disrespected somebody or you completely didn't take them into consideration and you hurt their feelings. A relationship, whether it's a romantic one or a personal one, like friendship, work, or family, like they still have to be nurtured and you have to communicate through that because ultimately self-love shouldn't involve hurting someone else.
Or invalidating
and saying, I don't want to deal with the problem that you have with me because it's not good for me is extremely toxic. And that's selfish.
Yes,
for sure.
Very inconsiderate.
Very inconsiderate.
You're putting, you should put your feelings first, but there are loved ones where you're like, hey, like, you don't want to lose that relationship, but if they bring something up, you're like, nah, I'm good, and just never speak to them again. Yeah. That's a relationship dead and gone. You can't keep doing that.
I can understand when people are negative. There are some people who always got a problem with something, who make things 10 times worse than what they need to be. And that is a completely different situation than what we're talking about. We're talking about you are deciding to not acknowledge that you're hurting someone or you're offending them or, because of how it makes you feel, because you don't want to deal with the situation at hand. That's toxic.
For sure.
But there are times where you do got to cut people out that they may say you're being toxic, but in reality, that's you preserving your energy because that person only brings something. Say we're friends. And the first time that you have a problem with me, Tiff, you're like, Nikki, I don't like this, and this. And I'm like, shit. All right, I'm sorry I didn't realize that I was doing this to you. I apologize. Let's move forward. Month later, Nikki, I got a problem with this, and this that you do. You're like, fuck, really? Like, yo, okay, let me say I'm sorry again. And then you're starting to pick up a pattern that person is just picking fights with you. They're the negative energy. They are seeing something wrong in everything. That's when you go, okay, it's a you thing, not a me thing. And for my sanity and for my self-love, I'm not going to continue this toxic relationship because it's not serving either one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a family member who every time they do something kind of fucked up in the family, I would try to bring it up and they'd be like, oh, whatever. I don't really care what people think about me. Whatever. And just brush it off. And it's gotten to the point where we don't even talk to her as much anymore because she just does not give a shit. She's like so non-confrontational. Like, I don't want to deal with it. No, whatever. I don't care what people think about me. But it's like, dude, you're pushing away all the people that love you because we bring it up because we love you, because we want to, like even help you. Like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Right. You have to be receptive to that.
I've seen that happen too. In people's personalities, or the other way around, where it's the other extreme, where it's like, oh, well, see, I'm the bad guy. I'm always the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what? Yeah, I fucked up. Oh, well, like, Jesus. Like, they just won't. It's like, that's another form of avoidance where they're just fully like, yeah, I am this thing that you're saying that I am, but I'm still not going to confront it or try to resolve it. That's another form of avoidance.
Exactly. Or like in relationships where you're so avoidant, you want to keep your peace so bad, like, no, I'm not going to bring up this thing I don't like, and it just keeps on, like, you keep on just not bringing it up, and you're going to build that resentment, and there's no communication to like grow. Like, I don't like it when you do that, and then when it goes well after that conversation, you grow as a couple. But if you keep on just like, nah, I don't want to talk about it, you're doing yourself a disservice,
right?
Because you're not showing people how you want to be treated. So this is, at the end of the day, it's not completely self-love. It's kind of self-sabotaging.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Self-sabotaging. To be avoidant is to self-sabotage.
Sabotage. Because it don't go away. Still gonna be there.
The next one is when it exhibits toxic positivity. Oh, I hate this shit.
I fucking can't stand
I hate this shit.
I hate them people.
Oh my God.
I hate you.
Oh, when you're going
like
through
you.
something.
Oh my God.
You're going through something like, oh, my dog just died. Well, you need to, you need to understand, this is a way of life. And life is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And you gave it a good life. Let people feel that negative feeling.
I hate forced gratitude.
Yeah.
I hate people telling you when you need to be grateful.
Yeah.
I think that's so stupid. I don't even have a better word for that. I think it's dumb. I feel like it's so self-righteous. I feel the fake positivity. A lot of the times when you follow these accounts or these people, we know that they're having a self-conversation. This is what they're telling themselves. Realistically, those people are doing that for themselves. They post it, they say it because that's what they want to believe. Now, that's completely fine. You can go ahead and be positive. It's when you start being in real life scenarios where you're like, well, you should just be grateful.
Yeah.
Like, you're blessed. To where you're like, are you judging me now because I'm feeling a type of way and telling me what I'm feeling is wrong?
Right.
And that now I'm a bad person because I'm experiencing these feelings that you probably don't want to feel, but you're being told like, no, everything is going to be, it could be worse.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, that one's the worst.
It could be worse. And it's like, yeah, it could be. But you know what? Let me live in this moment. Let me have this 5 minutes, however long it is that you need, because we know sulking is not going to solve the problem either. And we know that's also toxic. But sometimes you need to just feel and be like, look, your positivity is making me angry because you're trying to make me pretend.
Like minimizing your emotions.
Yes. Yeah. It's just invalidating everything you're feeling. But when I see those fake people, because there is a part of you faking it until you make it, which is fine, and that's how you deal with it. As long as you're not trying to force feed it down my throat, I understand your process and I can acknowledge that this is what you need for you. But they also need to be aware that sometimes that makes people feel worse about themselves, and it's just not solving the problem. It's avoidance. Again, we're just avoiding these feelings, but it's really tough. And if you find yourself being aggravated or like agitated by those types of people, you have to take it upon yourself to remove yourself from it, because I had to mute people that I know in real life on social. I've had to like not have conversations with some people because we think differently, and that's totally fine. But I can't get behind that. But I know why you're doing it. I don't want to say like stop it all the time, because that's your coping mechanism and that's how you're motivating yourself. But if you can't take a step back to say like, hey, that's what I'm doing, it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, okay, then don't talk to me.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I hate that people say, like, if you're going through something, like, yeah, well, you know, people in this country don't have this. People in this, people have it worse. Saying you shouldn't be upset or sad about something because someone has it worse is stupid, because imagine if someone said, well, you shouldn't be that happy because someone else out there is happier. You know, like, that's just dumb. Let people feel their shit. People are going through their own things in their lives in different parts of the world, in different situations, different scenarios. People can handle certain things better than others. But saying, you know, well, others have it worse. Okay, well, other people have it better too. Should I not celebrate either?
Yeah.
And that is something that people don't know how to celebrate anymore. People don't know when to be happy, and they don't know how to express joy, because then it's like you're always going to upset someone.
Yeah, someone's going to be like, oh, you're showing off now?
Right.
Yeah.
And we really are seeing everybody judging each other constantly and not acknowledging yourself. You're just like, well, I was told. And then that's really what it was. I was told that people in other places have it worse than me, so I need to be grateful. So since I have to do something that I don't really believe in, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing, because if I have to fucking fake it
Like a hall
and
monitor.
pretend, then I'm going to be like, no. I got told that people have it worse than me and I should be grateful. Of course, we should be grateful. We have a lot to be grateful for, but it doesn't always work that way. And when we judge others for figuring out their process, it doesn't help them.
Do you feel like this issue here has gotten worse with social media?
1000%.
Because that's what I noticed too. Like, the more, at least for me personally, like the more that I put myself out there, obviously the more that I'm welcoming to come back to me. And then that just kind of makes me be like, oh, I don't want to welcome anything anymore. So then that's when, like, that whole thing about like not having empathy for others or whatever, like quickly judging other people, I think it comes from a place of quickly judging yourself, because you're putting yourself out there so much and you're judging yourself, and then you're like, oh, well, this is the game that we're all playing, right?
Yeah,
we're all playing this game.
Yeah. With social media, I think of it as high school. I think of it as a place where you have a whole bunch of people that have different ideas, but we're all seeing that if you act one way, you get treated one way. If you act a different way, you get treated another way. Without social media, we had things like high school, college, church, workplace, where you're actually interacting with other humans. Social
It's like
media,
a smaller bubble too.
yeah. But with social media, what it does is that you have so many eyes and so many people who do not know you at all, judging you constantly. And of course it's going to be worse. But it would be like somebody in high school going like, I don't fit in. Why don't I fit in? Because everybody else is acting this way and I act differently. I feel judged or bullied because everybody else, like, but I'm forced in this space, right? You're forced to be at school. With social, we're subjecting ourselves to it. And that's what makes it even more difficult, because we don't actually have to use it, but we are using it. So people feel like they're forced in order to keep up with just life.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, there's a social status on social media. That's like being popular in high school. It's like you have to do things that you normally wouldn't really do for yourself, because this is what's going to get me where I need to be. And then you feel judged. But also the flip side of why social media is still like high school is that you can find your community. But it's a learning curve, right? Like everybody is just trying to figure it out. But it's just like we're all back in high school and we're all watching the cool kids, or we're watching the self-assured, independent one who doesn't need it. It's like, I go to class, I get my shit done, I go home, I got a cool life. I don't got to share it with you. And we're just kind of figuring out our place in high school again.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I had a habit of snacking when I was bored, but I didn't know I was snacking when I was bored. I actually was snacking when I was bored, when I was stressed, when I had anxiety, when I was sad. I guess I was just any emotion I had, because I probably snacked when I was happy too. I would reach for food. And I actually didn't really know I was doing this, which is why I really appreciate Noom for pointing that out to me. So Noom is a program that is a little bit different than your average weight loss program. It uses psychology to help you understand the whys behind your eating habits, and not just what you're eating, but why you're eating it, so you can break unhealthy cycles for good and make more intentional choices. And you'll also have plenty of support to achieve and maintain long-lasting results. For me, it's definitely like a food when I'm bored, but also social situations. Like whenever I go to a party, I just always had to have like a snack or a drink in my hand. And so I was drinking too much when I was out, because I just didn't want to not have something in my hand. And I didn't really know that was part of the psychology behind why I kept drinking too much when I went out, because I definitely wasn't having a crazy blast every time I drank too much. It was mostly for the social reasons, and Noom pointed that out. And also Noom gives you these different exercises that you can do within 10 minutes a day. You don't have to do anything crazy drastic to keep up with a healthy lifestyle. I was beforehand exercising too much, which my nutritionist pointed out was causing stress, which was blocking my digestive system. But with Noom's different exercise programs, all I needed was 10 minutes a day, and it actually worked much better for me. So break the cycle with motivation and support from Noom Weight's psychology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com/bigmood. That's NOOM.com/bigmood to sign up for your trial today.
Whether it's a warm cup of coffee, basking in warm sunlight, or listening to a sexy story, pleasure is all around us. With Dipsy, your sanctuary is waiting. Escape into a world where pleasure is your only priority. Dipsy is an app full of hundreds of short, sexy audio stories designed by women for women. They bring scenarios to life with immersive soundscapes and characters, no matter who you're into or what turns you on. Find stories about that intriguing coworker with a British accent, or hooking up with your hot yoga instructor. They even have stories designed specifically for your zodiac sign. New content is released every week, so in between listening to your favorite stories again and again, you can always find something new to explore. Dipsy also has sleep stories, wellness sessions, and now they also offer written stories. It's your go-to place to spice up your me time, explore your fantasies, or heat things up with a partner. For our listeners, Dipsy is offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/mood. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/mood. dipsystories.com/mood.
The next one is when it is an excuse for unhealthy behaviors. For example, taking a 20-minute break from work is your form of self-love that makes you feel replenished, but taking it to the extreme for 3 hours, that's toxic. Or substances like food and alcohol and treats is a way of taking care of yourself, but overindulging causes more harm than good.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
That's an obvious one. We know.
Yeah.
Having that little glass of wine, because that's fine. Like, you needed it to relax. But if you're like, I had a hard day at work, I drank a bottle.
Oh, I wonder have I ever done anything like that?
I am toxic. I know. I know at work there are times where I've had to learn how to deal with my stress and to find that balance of what is going to help heal me versus now I'm just leaning into it even more. I'm using the excuse. I had a stressful day at work. I'm going to fucking sleep all day. Yeah. Why? Because I just can't deal. Yeah. Did I feel better? Yeah. But now do I kind of feel guilt? Like, now am I looking at myself like, I really could have done other things. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But I tried to justify it in that moment. But when you've kind of, you get this icky feeling. You get this icky feeling to where you're like, I now am seeing that I'm not, this isn't helping. Yeah. But look, that nap, that 20-minute nap, sometimes you just, okay, today was rough. I tell myself this. I had a hard day at work. I had a really tough year. I'll just be real upfront. I was struggling with this job, and it could have led me down such a bad path, because when you feel like you don't have an escape, you start trying to do things like internally to make yourself feel better, and you're trying to find out what does make me feel better. And when I would get super stressed out, I wasn't in the gym the way I needed to. I stopped taking care of myself. My health just all the things that I feel like made me, I started neglecting because I was starting to now sulk in these feelings from work and being like, well, I had a hard day at work. I just like don't want to talk to anybody. And then having to reflect back and be like, shit, I am being really toxic. It's not necessarily for other people, but it's like I'm not doing myself any good. But it took time to see what worked and what didn't. So throughout my toxic behavior, I learned what should stay and what shouldn't. I don't drink the way I used to. I remember wanting to just get like, I wanted to forget the day sometimes. But then when I woke up hungover and I still had to go back to work, and I'm like, okay, that was counterproductive.
Yeah.
And you start seeing that, hey, maybe that glass isn't going to make me feel the way that I want it to feel. This feeling is super temporary.
It's like a Band-Aid.
It is like a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. And you got to tap back into what actually makes you happy and what can be productive and what can assist with dealing with stress. The gym and finding a balance, because going to the gym and being in the gym for like 5 hours can be counterproductive too.
Yeah, it's not healthy either.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, it's all about balance.
Really. Trial and error and balance.
Or there's one, shopping. There's so many people like, I gotta get something to just self-love, make myself feel good, but it goes over where people go into debt.
You mean retail therapy?
Yeah, retail therapy. Yes, it's great. Get yourself something nice every once in a while. But if you're going to debt, if you're not paying your bills first for the
dangerous.
self-love, that's not good.
Oh, the going out to eat all the time. The people that are like, oh,
okay,
I just need to go.
just at me, just call me out. It's okay, it's fine.
We both eat out a lot.
Yeah, we do.
A lot. But I also know how to say like, nah, I'm good. I'll stay home.
Yeah.
The FOMO. FOMO is a big one. You're just, you think that everybody else is living this great life. So I got to go out and I got to do it too.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
You know, more recently after like being in postpartum, I started drinking more soda because I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have baby in me anymore. Even though like he's still consuming what I'm consuming through breast milk, but like I started like indulging myself like every night. Like we buy the little half cans. So like, ooh, a cherry Coke for dinner tonight. I'm like, ooh, a cherry Coke for lunch tomorrow and dinner. And oh shit, and for breakfast, I'm just kidding. No, but like I started noticing like, oh man, every meal I want a cherry Coke or like a Dr. Pepper or whatever sodas we have in the house. And I started realizing like, oh no, like this is not like it's not a little treat anymore. It's becoming a habit. I need to stop.
Yep.
So even like soda or just fast food.
A lot of the like
vices,
indulgences,
all of those things, we know that everything is in moderation, and no matter how many times we say that, sometimes we get carried away because it did make you feel good. It was a little treat, and then it wasn't, and then it's like, okay, now I see it. I identify the problem. Then you got to adjust from there. I think
because then I'll justify it too, where I'm like, I was so good for 9+ months. Yeah, because it was before I even got pregnant. Like I cut out coffee, alcohol, all that stuff. Oh, good. And then like now that he's born, I still haven't drank alcohol because that one I'm really like I'm not drinking alcohol. Yeah, because I'm breastfeeding. And then so I'm just like, well, you know, like we can get Taco Bell because I need the calories. I'm breastfeeding. Yeah. Like I need extra calories. Yeah. I can get them there. So it's just Casey's always like, come on, man. I'm trying to get on a diet too.
Every once in a while we understand, but it's the all the time thing. It's the overkill. Yeah. It's the oh yeah, I've been good, or oh, I'm gonna go in the gym and I'm taking care of myself and I'm doing this, but now in reality you did like 5 classes and now you're exhausted and now your immune system is low and you're you're like, but I'm doing something good for myself and it actually causes more harm than good. Ooh, balance is so hard to find.
It is.
It's all about balance, but most of us don't got it.
Nope, that's why I can't ride a bicycle. All right. The next toxic one is when it doesn't allow room for growth. If self-love tells you not to change yourself, it isn't self-love. Self-love can be a toxic behavior if it encourages you to disconnect emotionally or always put a positive spin on situations that require a bit of healthy shame. The experience of reflecting on situations for self-growth and reevaluation of your core values is healthy. It can also this toxic self-love can also create unrealistic goals and expectations that can create toxic shame.
That is they're just like that. Like, that's so-and-so. That's just them. Or like, I'm always a bitch. That's just my personality trait.
yeah.
Fuck you.
Or the example here is the examples of toxic positive statements include put yourself first no matter what, or love yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
Which is, look, I get it. You know, I know why people push that, but you have to have humility and some self-shame where you're like, yeah, I love myself no matter what, but you know, you still gotta
check yourself.
You gotta check yourself, and there is always room for improvement. And if you use this to like, nope, I'm great, I don't gotta do shit.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Most individuals that are toxic, coming from someone who I for sure have some toxic traits. I definitely know my shit that I need to change. I don't think I've ever had a moment where I was like, I am the best version of myself. I do not care because I'm way too self-aware. But I have seen people and been around individuals that are like, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
This you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're upset at how I treated you? That's how you received it.
Yeah.
So you receiving my attitude as attitude says more about you than it does me.
Oh, yeah.
And those people eventually get humbled. And it's never the way that they ever think it would happen. It's never. It's always like, okay, cool. You'll learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've witnessed that.
you know, you see somebody that's like, that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. Then you,
Oh,
that's just how I am.
I hate the whole like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be giving people the worst of your worst like that.
I know.
Like, have some humility, you know?
But some people don't know that.
Yeah.
Like they don't know humility, and those are people who probably just stay self-absorbed. They stay toxic. There are tons of adults that we all know. I mean, we're grown, right? But then there are the adults. Like you are in your 50s, you're in your 60s, you are fucking grown, still doing the same toxic shit. Like you never grew up. You never became self-aware. You're gonna end up old and alone by yourself.
Yep.
And
You know what's wild too, like about like these people that you're talking about, because I've witnessed this exact behavior, and
we all got some family members that we're talking about right now.
Oh,
and so and then but these people are the same people that think that therapy like would never be for them.
Right.
They're just like, what? Therapy for what? Like I already know everything. Like I'm already giving myself therapy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, what's going on?
It's also because therapy before was known as no, only crazy people go to therapy.
Yeah.
Only
There was
mentally
so
ill
much
people.
shame.
Yeah, it's shame, the stigma behind it. But no, the thing is, like, if you can go to a doctor to get a checkup on your body, you should be able to understand that you have to get a checkup on your mind, you know, like everything, your emotions, everything you're going through. There's no shame in this. This is really healthy upkeep.
Yeah. I use the family as an example because I feel like so many people can relate to that. We've seen the adults that you're like, grandma, you still want to think that way. That's why nobody calls you. And I hate to say it like that, but we have so many family members that for our own sanity that we cannot speak to, that we've had to come to the conclusion that they're never going to change because they think that they're right.
Yeah.
And for us to keep just to be able to like live our lives, we have to cut ties with those people. That's the doing what's best for you, because that person is no longer willing to help in your life, and they become a burden. And it does suck when you see people and you can love them and you can love somebody from a distance. But when you're that person and you start being like, well, I have no friends, or nobody loves me, or nobody cares about me, it's really because it's like you forced people out. You refuse to show that.
Like, what was your role in all of this?
Right. And those people most of the time never acknowledge that they're the problem. And that's why it's toxic self-love, because in their minds, everyone else is the problem. Everyone else wasn't patient with them. Everyone else took it the wrong way.
That's why I say all the time, it's like, if you notice that you're losing, like you're constantly losing friends, especially if you lose a whole group of friends or family. And you're still like, well, no, it's because this person did that. This person did that. And every excuse for every person you lost or every group you lost, like, well, this person did that. It's like, well, maybe you need to understand that you are the common denominator here. So take a look at yourself and see if, okay, maybe it was my fault. You know, like the smallest example I can make is when I used to tour with the Drift team, I would always rent a car in every city that I go to on tour. And I'm like, dude, these people don't know how to fucking drive. Fuck you, you can't drive. And then one day in Atlanta, I was like, maybe it is I that is the problem. Maybe it is toxic.
Am I the drama?
Am I the drama? I can't be the drama.
I'm the drama.
I'm the drama. oh, you know, it's like, oh shit, that makes sense because I'm this bitch from LA driving like I'm in LA.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it takes like self-reflection. Look at yourself. You are the common denominator. You're the one who's angry at every single car you're in at every city.
Every city. I had to, I'm so thankful for the people I have in my life right now. I'm so genuinely thankful because there was a point in time that I didn't deserve for these people to still stay in my life. I remember when I was the problem, when I was in these toxic ass relationships and I'm like crying to my friends all the time and they're like, girl, you know what the problem is, or, you know, family, and they're just like, okay, we're gonna let you figure it out on your own. And then you realize like, oh shit, wow, I see what you guys are dealing with. And I'm happy that I was able to be around people that knew how to tell me about myself in the right way. And that's another thing too. And just telling someone about themselves and not learning how to speak their language can be extremely offensive and do way more damage than good because you come off self-righteous versus just genuinely wanting to help someone. But I know that if I didn't apologize or make the effort with some of the relationships I have, I wouldn't have these people in my life. And I've had to acknowledge a lot of my toxic traits. Like I know that if there was a point in time to where I wouldn't talk to people, I just wouldn't pick up my phone. I was really going through whatever and I needed that. But everyone knew, well, Nikki might not pick up the phone.
Yeah.
There was a day I fell down my stairs and something told me like, yeah, hey, if you keep going down this path that you're on, you're going to die in this place alone and no one's going to come looking for you because you were the one that made everybody think that you didn't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
That was your fault. So when you need help and no one's going to pick up the phone, it's because you weren't picking up the phone. And I was like, that was such a hard drive.
And this bitch had to fall down the stairs
I had
to learn
fall
that.
down the stairs. Yeah, I had to fall
Hard
down
lesson.
the stairs,
Yeah.
literally. But I realized that, if I don't make the effort to change, then no one's going to care. Like no one's gonna. Why would they care? So that was my hard, dry pill to swallow with no back. It was really tough, but it made me evaluate life in the way that I was behaving, and also being like, okay, cool. It made me look at like what other people were going through.
See, that's
as well.
healthy. But then to
Yeah.
not do that, that's a toxic trick that they're talking
Period.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Circling back on the toxic positivity thing, I actually got taught a lesson about that late last year because I was always about like, you know what? Even though I'm going through shit, I can still help people. The positive life, everything, look in the positive, look for the positive. So I told this story before where I was at an airport and I was going through a deep depression period and I was like, no, positive, I'm going to help, whatever. I ended up helping this person that I saw crying at the airport. And I was like, are you okay? He seemed lost, whatever. And then in my way, or like in the process of helping him, I missed my flight.
Oh.
And my luggage was already on the way.
Oh,
And it
no.
turns out this person was just drunk.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then I that's when it really hit me. I'm like, you cannot, like this toxic positivity, you can't do that all the time. You know, like sometimes you do have to put yourself first, but not all the time. Like it is a balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
When you know more, you can do more. What if you could use science to discover more about your body? You can find out what you need for your healthier tomorrow with Everlywell. Everlywell is a digital healthcare designed for you, all at an affordable and transparent price. With over 30 at-home lab tests, you'll be able to choose the test that makes the most sense for you to get the answers you need, like the women's health test or food sensitivity test, which is actually a test that I recently took. It was really interesting to find out that out of all the foods that were tested, bananas were somehow the highest rated. It was actually cow's milk, like the highest sensitivity apparently that I have, and the second thing was bananas, which really surprised me. Like I would have never guessed bananas. And it's actually kind of cool because they tell you, after you get the answers that you're looking for, now it's recommended to me to do an elimination diet and see if I actually have any reactions to banana, because I've never actually taken notice. So I really thought it was so interesting to find out what foods I was sensitive to with the food sensitivity test, and I loved it so much I actually purchased the indoor and outdoor allergy test because I'm like, wait, what if I'm allergic to more things that I had no idea about? Everlywell also has high quality vitamins and supplements to support your overall health. You can choose from a variety of options, including vitamin D3 and omega-3 fish oil, which PS, I'm actually also taking the vitamin B12 that they have. Super high quality ingredients. Highly recommend. Here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything needed in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the included prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Your physician-reviewed results get sent to your phone or your device in just days. Yeah, my results actually came in 2 days after they received it, which I thought was really fast. Where I'm like, oh, cool. I honestly thought it was going to take a lot longer, but it was just a couple days. And you can share the results with your primary care physician to help guide next steps. If you ordered vitamins and supplements, you can start adding them to your daily routine right away. It's so simple. Over 1 million people have trusted Everlywell to support their health and wellness goals, and you should too. And for the listeners of the show, Everlywell is offering a special discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/bigmood. That's everlywell.com/bigmood for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/bigmood.
Okay, the next one says it's also toxic when it is selfish. Self-love is about accepting one's imperfections while also striving to evolve in healthy ways. Those who really love themselves strive for respectful balance and harmony across all relationships. So if your self-love disregards others' feelings, it's dishonest or narcissistic, then it isn't true love. The key red flag of toxic love is the strong narcissistic element that permeates this type of behavior. Toxic self-love almost always creates some sort of penalty or cost for others, whether through boundary violations, negative communication patterns, or disrespectful behaviors. Also, toxic self-love can be spotted by comparing it to true self-love, which is guided by respect, empathy, and consideration for others.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Most of these things that are on this list, I have 1000% participated in.
yeah.
Like 1000%. And as I was listening to that, I was like, I wonder if someone listening to us is being like, these self-righteous assholes trying to tell me what self-love is. But I'm listening to that. I'm like, I am still learning how to love myself.
At our age?
Yeah.
All these younger kids like, oh, you know, when you grow older. No, you're still learning all
Still
the time.
learning.
All the
I see
time.
people in their 40s, 50s, 60s still learning about self-love.
It's really difficult because, again, we were taught most of our lives not to be selfish and we sacrifice ourselves. And that's supposed to be
Especially as women.
Yeah. And you're supposed to get some badge of honor for not doing that. But then you also get shamed for putting yourself first. And then it's like, whoa, but if you neglect yourself or say you're not going to the gym and you let yourself go, then it's like, you're not doing this. But you're like, but I'm putting my family and my time. Look at what I'm doing. It's so difficult. Like what one person would consider selfish is what someone else considers like just normal. And everybody's self-love is going to look different. But that's also when you hear like, to what extent does it become toxic? To when and to who? Because we all can be sitting in this room right now and I can be like, yeah, if you don't want to pick up the phone because you're going through something right now, that's what you needed to do. That's fine. You say that to somebody else, they could be like, but why didn't you pick up the phone? That's so selfish of you to not take what that other person was thinking into consideration. And you could talk to another person and they'll have a completely different perspective. But like for us in the room right now, how do you communicate what you need for yourself to someone else? And can we expect other people to truly understand what our version of self-love is without it coming off selfish? Or is it just something like it might work with one person and not with another?
I communicate what I want, need, and like and dislike very well. I used to not always be like that, but then over the years I've learned people are not going to know unless you say something. You can't expect people to read your mind. So I really put it out there. If someone did me wrong and if it bothers me like enough to like, I don't want to let it slide and we're going to be in close proximity with each other for a while, then I'm going to bring it up, but I'm not going to be a bitch about it, you know? And I bring it up in like a healthy, like, hey, I really want to discuss this, you know? And for the most part, it does work out. And then as your own like form of self-love, I was just talking about this to another friend the other night. My self-love is taking a nap or like one day where I just don't do anything. And he's like one of those like rise and grind, blah, 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 NFTs, whatever, right? And he's like, well, no, that's a waste. I'm like, he just doesn't understand like
what you need,
what I need. So I explained to him, I believe that time enjoyed is not time wasted. Where you believe my nap is time wasted. No, I enjoyed that. It's good for me. And I'm going to do that even if you don't see that, you know? So everyone's self-love is different.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's self-love might be, I spend time crocheting. Like, the fuck is that? That's boring as shit, you know? Like, you can't expect everyone to know your own form of self-love. And you can't, you should try not to like shit on other people's way of self-love when it's not harming anyone or harming themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I totally relate to that too. But going back to what you're saying about like communicating, I for fucking sure struggled like crazy communicating my needs or whenever I felt like there was something that needed to be communicated with someone when I felt wronged or whatever. But then when like I also found it very difficult because like it also depends on who you're communicating with.
Right.
Because then there'll be situations where I am trying to express like, hey, I was really hurt by what you did. But then like a person would be, they'll go into their avoidance tendencies and be like, oh, well, that's just your fault on how you took it. And it's just like, okay, I'm already struggling like crazy trying to communicate this. And then it's like, it feels like a gaslighting situation. So then, I don't know, then after like situation after situation, especially with like the same people over and over again, you end up just like being like, okay, well, let me just swallow this. And this will be but then I get avoidant. And then that resentment grows. And then that was a lesson that I really learned, that by no matter how difficult it is to communicate your emotions, especially to people that you care about, like that's just a hurdle you have to get over in order to better the relationship. Because I know I wasn't doing the relationship any favors by staying quiet a lot of the times because I was uncomfortable with the way that they would respond. Right. Like, you know, it was just, it's like that was not helping the relationship at all. And it taught me a lesson where it's like, well, I need to learn how to communicate better. Also be better at maneuvering whatever it is that they're giving me and being like, no, hold on, let's focus. Let's focus on what we're talking about. Cause then it'll end up being like distractions or the gaslighting thing. It'll just get really difficult. But I think I ended up learning that lesson pretty well. Cause I remember when was it, Gina? Like we ended up having like a little thing when me and you, remember we were going to be shooting at Airbnb and then it was just like a little like misunderstanding, not misunderstanding. It was something between us. And then I don't know how you received it, but I felt like that moment for me was like a personal growth moment of like communicating.
Yeah, this was the first time that you actually got upset with me about something. It's because of my poor timing issues. But I guess like the way that I presented it to you, I don't know how you received it. I took it as, because you've like, I know how you are. You don't really voice anything that bothers you. So the fact that you actually did voice it, I took it very seriously. I'm like, oh shit, like if Tiffany's saying something, then I really need to be receptive and listen. And
which I really appreciated because you did great receiving it. But that's what made me feel like, oh my God, maybe I'm growing. She's receiving this really well. Like,
and you don't want to, and so I took it as, okay, you're right, Tiff, and I'm so sorry. I do need to be better at this. And I understood, like, I know that my time management is poor. And if it's so poor to the point where Tiff is saying something, that's how I know it's a fucking issue. You know, because Jess will call me out immediately. But you, like, if it's like pissing off like the nicest, sweetest person ever, you know, and you're like, oh shit, I really did fuck up. And that is personal growth because you said something and the outcome of that was positive. And that
it was really positive.
Reinforces you saying like, okay, cool, I should bring out, like, I should speak up more when I need to. And then for me, it was self-growth for me because for me, it was always like, oh, you know, that's just how I am. They know.
That's
you know,
the toxic.
Asian, you know, like Asian time. But then I realized, okay, I really can't do that. That's really fucked up. It's bothering my friends, you know? And plus, adding to that, if you were to say that to me and I was not receptive, I'm like, nah, whatever, and I continue doing it, those are not the type of friends you want in your life anyways. If bringing up something that bothers you makes someone just like, ugh, whatever, blah, 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 like, that's a conflict that even if it did not turn out the way you want it to be, it did not turn out positive. The silver lining is now you understand that's not the type of person I want in my life.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conflict like ends up raising your true colors.
Yeah.
Like how people deal with conflict.
So the conclusion of this article says, so what exactly is self-love then? Self-love is about taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. It is not all pampering and positivity. It is a mindful active awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and behavior as a way to improve yourself. Self-love helps you set good values, boundaries with others, and protect your energy. It is about self-compassion and learning to have a better relationship with yourself inside and out. If we have a lot of negative self-talk or negative held beliefs about self, it may feel unattainable to strive for self-love. It is okay to strive for self-compassion or self-forgiveness instead of self-love when you embark in this process.
Forgiveness is the biggest takeaway from that. Bless you.
Thank you.
Salud.
Is one of the biggest takeaways. A lot of the times we project who we want to be, but on the inside, we're not enough. We're constantly comparing. We're constantly just feeling like we have to put on an act and a show. And we don't forgive ourselves for the things that we didn't know. A lot of our experiences and being toxic, like we don't have the best examples at times. Everybody is growing constantly. And there is going to be a time where you have to forgive the mistakes that you've made. And if you never do that, that's when you become extremely judgmental.
Yeah.
It's when you become so just not you.
Yeah.
And the step to self-love is forgiveness. It is honestly taking a hard look in and saying, I understand that person I was at that time. I don't want to be that person again. I've experienced this. If I don't grow from it, then I've learned nothing.
Right.
And just trying to navigate that. It's a lot of you. And it hurts. Growth sucks, and it comes with growing pains. But also, if you're in a relationship with somebody or you're around other people, whether it's work, family, friends, husband, wife, it doesn't matter. You're always going to have to evaluate and reevaluate constantly, because
it's always evolving.
And whatever happens today will determine what happens tomorrow. But we don't know if tomorrow is going to be the same as today. So we have to learn to just keep adjusting and be forgiving.
And self-love a lot of times doesn't feel or look like self-love. Like you're like, there are times like, why am I sitting here letting myself cry? Why am I sitting here, like making myself feel terrible? But that sometimes is a form of self-love, because you're letting yourself be you and feel your real emotions. It's not a bad thing. It's growth, you're helping yourself. This is actually, sometimes self-love actually hurts, but it's something that you have to go through for a better you in the future, so let yourself do these things sometimes.
Yeah. It's healthy.
So, hi everyone. Thanks for watching. We hope you learned something about self-love today, take some time, check in with yourself, but also check yourself.
Reflect, self-reflection, be self-aware. It's okay, baby. It's hard. We ain't perfect. It's all right.
And that is self-love. It doesn't mean you hate yourself. You got to tell yourself like, well, I'm fucked up, but whatever. No, it's self-love. You're learning.
Yeah, do it with grace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikki, for hanging out with us.
I just had a moment where I was like, I still got some work to do.
Oh, we all do.
Man, after this conversation, I'm like, I got some work I gotta do.
We all do.
I'm sitting here reflecting and hearing everything you're saying, Nikki. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, for those of you at home who are like, we have a lot of young viewers who think like, oh, they have their shit together. Look at this. She's got a house, family, kids, whatever, business, whatever. They know what they're doing. No, we are still learning, man. Like
learning never stops.
Exactly.
Yes. And just because you're not where you want to be right now doesn't mean that you're not going to get there eventually.
Yes.
It is all right. Nothing is ever set in stone. Be willing to adjust plans and change. And it is all right. Nobody is perfect. It is okay.
And there's no timeline that you have to follow.
Thank you.
No.
You don't gotta know self-love by your 30s.
Yeah.
You can work on your own timeline. That's fine. There's so many young
The work
kids.
never stops.
It
Exactly.
doesn't. Never
stops.
Yeah. So
old
don't
people
compare.
listening right now. Y'all ain't perfect either.
Nikki, where can they check you out, baby? What do you got going on?
You can check me out on 99.7 Now in San Francisco with Big Babe Mornings, my morning show Monday through Friday. Also, you can check me on the No Chaser podcast with Tim and Rick. You can find me on Instagram at Nikki Blades. And also you can check out my food stuff that I got going on with Nikki Street Eats. Also, Superb Sportswear. I'm going to have to get you guys fitted with some shoes, get the whole crew laced up. And if you ever go to those sites, you can use code BLADES and you get a discount. Yay!
Nice.
And then make sure you guys check out Tiff and Case's vlogs.
Oh, thanks.
They got some baby vlogs going on.
yeah.
It's the cutest thing in the world.
Baby Luca.
Yeah. And then check me out on G4 TV.
Yeah.
Twitch.g4tv or on my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/Miss Gina Darling. Watch me stream. Watch me do dumb shit on TV. Until next time.
Wait. Don't forget our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Buy something. You fucking coward.
Spend money.
All the links are
Support
below.
us.
Check
Support
out all
the
the
show.
links
Right,
below.
but don't buy you know what, buy all the things. Be toxic with that one.
Yeah. Be
Retail
toxic with
therapy.
our stuff. Our stuff.
Right.
All right. We love you. Bye.
Bye.